Steve Dotto here. How the heck you doing this fine day? Welcome to this webinar. This is a webinar replay that I am just editing and packaging up now for YouTube, but I wanted to let you know what to expect. We recorded this webinar live on March the 8th. It is a webinar on dealing with distraction, how to overcome all of the distractive nature of our world around us today, at least the online world. Now, what we're going to do here is I'm going to bypass the initial kind of warm-up of the webinar where we welcome people in the room. We'll jump right to the presentation part of the webinar and keep the Q&A on at the back end of the webinar. If you want more information about any of the Dotto Tech webinars, I encourage you to click on the information button above my shoulder. There you can find out about our live weekly webinars that we do almost each and every week here on Dotto Tech. As well, I encourage you to sign up for our newsletter. That way you'll hear about any upcoming webinars and live tutorials that we do. So now please sit back, relax, and enjoy dealing with distraction. 30 minutes, just under 30 minutes, 29 minutes and 55 seconds. So there we go. I'll see you on the other side of the video. All right, dealing with distraction. Now, I want to make one thing really clear right off the start of this part of the segment is that I am not a doctor. I'm not a scientist. Everything that I've learned about dealing with distraction has come from research that I've done and personal experience. So your results may vary based on the content that we're going to deliver today. But I wanted to break this down into these four areas. First of all, the nature of distraction, understanding where distraction is coming from. Because there's some surprising aspects to it as I looked at it that weren't things that I expected. I mean, we think all distraction just comes from our smartphone and from our connected life. There's more to it than that. So we're going to talk about that so we understand the challenge that we're facing. The first step, I think, towards dealing with distraction is, first of all, taking control of the technology that you use. People who follow this channel regularly know that I am a big proponent of you being in charge of your technology, not your technology being in charge of you. That's really the nature of what Dotto Tech is about, is giving us control over our technology. So a big part of that will help you deal with distraction. Then you also need to take control of your environment, where you work, the environment that you are within, and deal with the distracting elements within that, and creating an environment that allows you to concentrate, that allows you to not be distracted. I guess the opposite of distraction is concentration, right? And then there's also the personal responsibility side. We like to blame everything else. But we are the ones that have to take action, and we are our own worst enemy when it comes to distraction. That I think, if you don't agree with me now, you probably will agree with me by the end. So let's start with talking about what distraction costs us, and just the cost of distraction. And really, this research came about when I was working on my 3 Steps to Inbox Zero, when I was learning about the cost of email and how much time spent in email, how difficult that was for us. And how just checking your email on a regular basis, just the productivity costs that it included. And what I learned about there is this concept, and I won't use the right word, but it's the concept of momentum, and how when we concentrate on a task, the first whatever period of time, 30 seconds, 60 seconds, 90 seconds, that we're working on it, we're almost like in first gear in a car. We're going slowly because we've still got all of the other little bits and pieces floating around in our brain of everything else that we've been working on up to then. But the longer that we stay focused on task, the more of our attention, the more synapses we have firing in that one direction, and we get going more and more. And we've all experienced that almost joy, that almost cathartic state of absolute focus on a project. Time seems to have no meaning, and we are ultra productive. That is because we've managed to stay in that state without distraction, and more of our attention, more and more of our capability is focused on that task. If we could be in that zone all of the time that we're working, we would be all, by an order of magnitude, more productive than we are. But we can't, because every time we change directions, every time we stop and start again, we are going back to first gear. It's like a truck going up a big hill. You kind of keep working your way through the gears, but if you have to stop, you got to start in first gear again. Now, there's statistics out there that say that in the average office environment, people change focus between 10 and 20 times an hour. That means that they're concentrating on any one task for between 3 and 5 minutes maximum. 3 to 5 minutes per task. That's pretty anemic if you stop and think about it. 3 to 5 minutes of concentration per time before you change and have to start all over again. How much productivity do we lose? How much does it cost us? Indeed, we are in the right places. We're going to start dealing with distraction. Now, here was the surprising result that I found. And it was the Telegraph posted a post about a scientific journal that talked about, and it was one of those ones that you'll be surprised to know that it's the more intelligent you are, the more easily distracted you are. And of course, all of us go, wow, I'm really easily distracted. That must mean I'm a frickin' genius. But the bottom line is that if you do have an imagination, if you are constantly thinking of different ideas, you are prone to distraction. And here is what I believe is the trap that we've fallen into recently. 20 years ago, a super intelligent person working on a task gets distracted by a thought. They didn't have an avenue to explore that. They would have to go to the library. They'd have to, just because they thought, oh, I wonder, if I could, I wonder if there's a good app for doing this. They never would have thought that because there was no apps. But they didn't have the internet there and Google there that they could search for it and look for it and start going down a different rabbit hole all the time. The availability of this is a curse to people with imagination, because as you're working away, a spurious thought comes in your mind, an idea, and all of a sudden, wow, you just jump over to Google, do a quick search, and now you're off to the races in a completely different direction than what you were planning on being on. So while we are really quick to blame desktop notifications and our smartphone and other people and email and Messenger and Facebook for being the culprit in our distraction, I think we got to look in the mirror a little bit and say, often it's self-inflicted. And if you stop and think about it, you see there's a truth in that. I know that I've found a truth in that with me, that it's my spurious thoughts that I succumb to and start going down that rabbit hole that probably cost me more than almost any other type of distraction. I mean, at least when there's a notification coming in and you're distracted by a notification that comes in, at least in that particular case, you're actually dealing with something that's work-related. That's probably, top of mind somewhere in your enterprise or organization. When you just have an idea and start down a rabbit hole, who knows? Now, let's talk about the other side, that where we are getting notifications, we're getting that sort of stuff coming in. Let's talk about what we can do, how we can deal with that. And I think this is a big part of this is dealing with your own expectations and taking the pressure off yourself. I think people who are high performing always are looking to delight and overperform and exceed expectations. So when somebody sends you an email, you want to respond right away. You want to be really responsive. They're your customers, they're your community, they're your tribe. I think we all need to take a step back and train ourselves to be a little bit less available. And recognize that it doesn't cost us to do so. In fact, it's going to benefit us because we're going to get more done, and overall the community is going to benefit more from our work ethic and the amount of effort that we put in than if we're constantly changing channels and constantly being distracted. So you have to train your team. You have to train yourself. And you've got to come to a realization that if you do good work, the people are going to be back. You're going to create. Your business will move ahead. All you have to do is look. Even in our space, the number of people who make themselves not available, who do not reply to emails, who do not respond, who are not super responsive to their community, and they still succeed. Now, I'm not saying that you shouldn't be responsive, that you shouldn't be responsible, but I'm saying that you should you should really think long and hard about setting some rules of engagement for both yourself first and that your team will learn about for how available you are. Taking the pressure off is going to allow you to stay concentrated and stay in the zone that much more, because a big part of the pulling us out of the zone, if we're concentrating and we're working away on a proposal or an email or something like that, and a notification comes in from a team member, a big part of that is guilt. You don't want to be waiting when you're asking people questions, so you think, oh, well, maybe I can help them and help move the ball downfield for them. So I think you have to kind of get over that and recognize that what you're doing should be your number one priority, and deal with things in a less immediate fashion as they come in. Difficult to do, but if you are going to get more productive, if you are going to reduce distraction, you have to say no to some work coming in. You have to say no to some communications coming in. The next part of the equation, after you've understood what distraction is and understood the genesis of distraction, is us starting to take control of our technology. And there's a couple places that technology lives. First, in probably the most relevant for us is desktop alerts. And it's so easy to go into your settings and turn off your alerts so that they're not coming in. And then disciplining yourself to check for messages at different periods of time in your cycle. Far more effective than allowing them just to come in. And if you do have them coming in and you've got them on your smartphone, well, then making sure your phone is on silent or in a place that you can't hear those alerts coming in so that they don't distract you. Bottom line is, even though it might be something important coming in, how many important things come in versus how many disruptive things, and what's the net cost and net benefit? That's something you're going to have to judge yourself. I mean, if you're an emergency surgeon, yes, keep your notifications on. But, if you're a YouTube content creator like me, maybe the notifications don't need to be on quite as urgently. Yes, indeed. The next thing, actually, I did a video on this a while back, and this was a big step. This was one of my first things that I did when I recognized how susceptible I was to being distracted and being pulled off topic, is I used to set up with all sorts of screens. I'd have 3 computer screens. I'd have one that had my main browser, and I'd have one with email, and I'd have one with something else. And I had this command central that looked like an aircraft. It looked like the missiles control of an aircraft carrier or something like this. All this stuff, and I had all of these things that made me feel like I was busy because I was looking at different screens and always going back and forth, but I recognized the fact that I was never focused on a single task. So I got rid of all my computer screens and went to a single screen. And by going to a single screen, I could have a single task on screen at a time, and I wasn't immediately distracted. That was, to me, probably one of the biggest steps towards getting really productive that I took. Now, a lot of you are going to have trouble with that because you like having access to your email and the browser at the same time all the time, but this is what I did. Now, the way that I overcame the issue for productivity, because often you're jumping back and forth. Like if you're composing a sales page, you need to be into your graphics program, you need to be into your word processor, jumping back and forth, and it's nice to have them all on open screens. Is it not? Yes, it is. But all of our operating systems will allow us to have multiple desktops. On the Mac, you enable it, and I can just swipe back and forth from one desktop to another. So I can go here to my one browser. I can go to my presentation just by sliding back and forth, and by double tapping lightly on the mouse, it brings up the entire control panel. Now, this is very similar in both the Windows world and Mac world, where you can have all of your you can still have your apps open at the same time, but you're only going to be dealing with one at a time. This, to me, it was a huge step in the right direction as far as dealing with distraction and productivity, was reducing the number of screens that I had to a single screen. And the other piece of technology that I think you just make sure that it's not in the room with you, frankly, is your phone, is just getting the phone away, because it is such a siren song, and it is such a place that just pulls us off task. So if you can't put it on silent, if you don't have the discipline to put it on silent and not look at it, have it charging out of reach, out of sight, out of mind. That is a good way to take control of your technology. And I realize it's kind of it's not you really being in charge, because the technology still is in charge, but you are putting it's in its place to a certain extent. So you're doing the best that we can as far as having it in the right place, being in control. Sometimes we just know we're weak. I'm not strong enough. I can't deal with this. I'm going to succumb. So sometimes we need help. So the type of help that you can get, technically speaking, includes using full screen apps. There's a variety of different word processors that take up the entire screen, and it will actually shut off the internet and shut everything off while you're working. So a word processor that closes off the internet, closes off Facebook, and allows you to just concentrate on writing is a terrific tool if you are a writer. Now, while I was researching this and looking for a roster of different apps that might really work well for us as far as helping avoid distraction, you're looking for little pieces of technology that might help, I came across the Zapier blog, and it had as good a list of different tools to help avoid distraction as I've seen. Stephen was Altaroga. wrote this. It's a really good article. It's got both Mac and Windows products, things like Freedom, which is a blocking app that will block you from distracted websites that cause you distraction. Self-control on the Mac, which all of these things. You don't have self-control. It's applying self-control. But apps that you can blacklist for a certain amount of time, and you can see the ones that are obviously ones that will take you away from concentrating on work. One called Cold Turkey for Windows, best for Windows users with self-control issues. I love this. Focus Booster, Stay Focused. So we're going to share this blog post with you, but they've done a really good job of going through and finding a variety of different tools that I think do a spectacular job that you can utilize. I don't personally use any of these tools except this one here, Rescue Time. I do use. Now, Rescue Time does a combination of both reporting back where you're spending your time, which I find very valuable for other reasons. But if you buy the premium version of it, it also has a tool that will block out distracting websites. And you can determine what's distracting and what's non-productive, and will allow you to shut down access to those and help you stay on focus. But I'm not a huge fan of these tools, but if they work for you, then I am a big fan. Personally, for me, I'm not such a big fan of them because I find that I am able to stay on focus by using some other techniques. But if you do need to just go cold turkey, as they say, these tools here are going to help you block access to the sites that are causing you issues. Now let's talk about our environment, because this is another area. We talked a little bit about the single screen, giving us a focus on a single screen. But then there are other things that I do within my environment that help me get focused. And one of them is a product called Focus at Will. And this one it surprised the heck out of me that a audio tool could help me focus this much. But there's a lot of science behind this particular tool. A Focus at Will is basically an audio playlist. Here, I'll just call it up and show it to you. It's an audio playlist that you go to, that you launch, and it gives you, there it is. It basically plays music that helps you stay focused. And there's a lot of different science that has gone into this music. So here we see it. So it's a streamed service. It's not free. It's that you buy either a monthly or an annual license. I bought an unlimited license for it because I use it all the time. And it gives us access to all of these different types of music that's all scientifically designed to help us concentrate and help us focus. So the acoustical is one of the ones that I really like, although this is one that where's the other one that I've been, Alpha Chill. You can see it sounds, oh, haven't listened to that one before. So this is Neurospace. Yeah. This is the one I've been using lately. It's really helping me. So, when I say this is scientifically designed, I know you're not going to believe me. I know right away you're going to go, Steve, why don't you just have a playlist of songs? Playlists of songs don't work because a part of our attention is tuned to listen to the human voice. And it's actually a part of our attention that's a defensive mechanism that's designed because our ears we can't see behind us. So our ears are always listening for danger. That's going back to our primordial self. So consequently, this music, none of it sounds like the human voice, and it's all designed based on your personality type to help you focus. Now, this isn't a magic pill where suddenly you will start playing music and for 8 straight hours you can focus. You still have to compartmentalize to like a 1 hour work time. You have to still follow some good productivity practices and some good focus practice. But Focus at Will for me has, I think, increased my productivity by a measurable percentage. I'm going to say 25 or 30%, because when I am working on it, I find I get into that zone. And you know how you can tell it's really done well is you finish working on something, I go to stand up, and I'm stiff because I go, oh man, I was concentrating on that for a lot longer than I realized. And then you realize you got a lot of work done. That's what Focus at Will does for me. And when I say it's scientifically designed, I'm going to play a quick little video clip. I have a good interview that's going to be available online that you're going to be able to see from the founder, from the guy that started it all. His name is Will Henshaw. He's actually a former rock star. he's he's done a bunch of he was from a rock band back in the 80s, but he's also completely dedicated to the concept of this audio science that he's working on to enhance human focus. And this is just a snippet of the kind of the thought process that I've gone through.
The more there's kind of two pieces of this answer, really. The more easily distracted you are, the more energy you need in an audio stream. You know, if someone's really hyper, they're just like this all the time. Oh my God, they're just ADD. You think you want to play them some calm music, relax, right? No, the opposite is true. If someone is hyper, you got to play them hyper music, which is why our ADHD channel, which is used by 5%, we got about 1 million users now. So 5% of our 1 million users listen to the ADHD channel, which play a little bit of it, insert it, and you'll be like, it's nuts. It sounds like a jackhammer. Go, 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 go. Ah! But it's actually relaxing if you actually have ADD. And then there's a sort of scale to how easily distracted you are. The most people are in the middle, which is why.
Okay, so that gives you an idea of what Will has to say about the kind of the research and how they've built the tools. You want me to play the ADD music, don't you? Let me do that. Okay, so here's the selector here, ADHD type 1. Are you ready? And he was talking about the different energy levels. You can actually set your energy level, and that's based on your personality type or how you're feeling at the moment. So you can adjust that as well. But let me just play this for you. Might not be for you. You might be looking for something a little calmer, or maybe it is for you. Maybe you're part of that 5% that works for. But Focus at Will, surprisingly, really makes a huge difference. They have a 30-day free trial, and it is a product that we are an affiliate for. I pay for it myself, use it, believe in it. So it's one of the products that we're an affiliate for. So we'll include that affiliate link in our follow-up email that we send out to you all afterwards. Now, the full interview, there's about a 30-minute interview that I did with Will about just kind of diving in and asking him all about how they design the software and who it works for and all that sort of stuff. That's going to be available on the Dottotech site. In the next couple of weeks, we're going to have a whole page dedicated to the whole concept of distraction. So that is audio software. Now, part and parcel with that, using a tool like Focus at Will, is using a set of headphones when you're working with it, because that adds to me what I say when I'm using Focus at Will to help eliminate distraction is it cocoons me. It kind of creates this environment that I'm in that almost narrows my focus. I almost feel my vision narrowing, even though I know it hasn't, but I just feel that my focus kind of sinks in on what I'm working on, and the headphones make a big difference in that. So that really helps a lot as well. Also, dealing with your environment, putting yourself physically in a position to be able to concentrate and to be able to stay focused on your task is crucial. So sit-stand desks are, I believe, a terrific tool, because the healthier you are and the better that your posture is, and the more comfortable you are, the more you're going to be able to work. Now, I use a combination of sit-stand desk and a product called the Core Chair, which is a chair that actually has a gimbal in the seat that allows me to kind of wobble about as I'm working. And that puts me in a more ergonomically comfortable and a more ergonomically stable position as I'm working. Hence, I'm more comfortable. Hence, I'm able to stay on task more readily. Pay attention to the quality of light that you have around you. which is a big deal, making sure, just kind of eliminating harsh light and being in a comfortable environment. And even I use a tool on my monitor that adjusts the brightness of the monitor and takes part of the blue out, makes it more friendly to my eyes. It's a tool called, what is it? I've lost the name of it right now. It's a Flux. F.lux. We've shown it before, and we'll put a link in for that as well. And that just makes it more restful on the eyes as you're working, again, allowing you to concentrate a little bit more. And I know you're going to think Steve's gone off the deep end. Steve has turned into a total new age hippie geek stranger. But I started using one of these vaporizing things that with essential oils in it, with some different oils in it. And my thought was, and the reason that I wanted to try it, now, This is not scientifically proven, but it is part of my routine now because I believe productivity comes out of forming a habit. And when I had the success that I had using Focus at Will, using the music, I recognized that as soon as I started to hear the music, I started to settle in. As soon as the music started, it was like, boom. It just helped me calm. It helped me get focused. And I was thinking, wow, environmental conditions make a big difference. So I'm wondering if smell could also make a difference. And so rather than having, the smell of the dog under my desk or what have you, having the same kind of essential oils being misted up into the air, which creates an ambiance within my work environment, if that helps me focus. I can't say scientifically for sure it does. I'm just maybe a month or two into using them, but I'm quite enjoying it. I think that it is helping me. It's again, forming a ritual that I go through that says it's time to work, and that scent in the air says, okay, it's go time, Steve. It's time for you to get some work done. So I'm doing that as well. And I believe that that's helping. Next thing you need to do is give yourself the best chance possible. If you've eliminated the distractions that you can, if you've reduced down to a single screen, if you've turned off notifications, if you've made sure that your environment is comfortable, maybe you are using some environmental tools to help you get focused, then you also got to take care of yourself. How well we perform and how well we think is not a lot different than how well an athlete performs when they're on the playing field. So things like how well they feel physically is going to determine how well they perform. How well we feel physically is going to determine how well we concentrate. And so things like having a good diet. Now they do say that omega-3, the fatty acids like in salmon and those sorts of fish are good. They stimulate blood flow to the brain. More blood flow to the brain, you just have a bigger organ there that can work better to help you concentrate. Staying hydrated. So many people get dehydrated, especially when they're working. They'll only drink coffee and they'll forget to drink because they're sitting quietly. Staying hydrated is going to help keep you focused that much longer. I can't say how important sleep is. Sleep and the entire rest cycle, making sure that you turn on and off, that you don't try and overdo it, that a little bit less as far as the amount of concentration time is better than over concentrating and wearing yourself out. But sleep, I believe that we pretty much live in a sleep-deprived society at this point here. We just don't get as much sleep. We'll probably do a whole segment at some point on sleep because I find it very fascinating. And I know that screens and the access to technology has disrupted our sleep dramatically. When was the last time you woke up and then checked your phone and then couldn't fall back to sleep for half an hour or an hour? It stimulates the brain. We do that. Getting some good sleep habits is going to help you with your focus. If you're committed, if you're in for a penny, you should be in for a pound, right? So you've got to take these other factors into consideration. Just reducing the number of screens and not making sure that you holistically deal with the issues of distraction, the issues of focus and concentration and productivity, I think you're leaving yourself short. And exercise, just getting up. And even if we're just talking about getting up, stretching, walking around during the daytime while you are working, using the sit-stand desk, spending sometimes standing, sometimes sitting. The more that you move, the better you are going to be able to concentrate, and the better you're going to be able to deal with distraction, the discipline that will come as you do these things to allow you to overcome the issues of distraction. And I believe that one of the biggest issues is at the end of the day, I believe a lot of us are distracted because we want to be distracted, because the work is hard, because we might not be as committed to it, because we might not have clarity of thought about what it is we want to do on it. So rather than doing the hard thing and getting through that email, that's a difficult email to write, it's a path of less resistance to take a look at what's happening on Facebook and get lost for a few moments to deflect your responsibilities. And, there's no technology that's going to help with that. That's being mature. That's being disciplined. That's deciding that your goals that you want to achieve are important, and you're going to do the hard things to achieve those goals. So you have to determine. I think once you determine that this is probably the first and biggest cause, that the distraction is our responsibility, and if we want to be distracted, we will be, and if we don't want to be distracted, we will find ways not to be, then you're on the right path. I just like everything else, I think it ends up being a habit. So turn your focus into a habit. I do it by these external triggers that I set. And the other big aspect of dealing with distraction, which we haven't talked about at all, but I think we will when we get into the conversation side, is coming up with a technique. And the one that's probably best known is the Pomodoro technique, the tomato technique, which is having a timer that allows you to focus for 20-minute periods. It's very much like physical training, where you focus for 20 minutes and then you get a 5-minute break, and then 20 minutes and a 5-minute break. And then during that 5-minute break, you take a break. Even though you were just pounding away to work, no, you stand up, you walk, you get a glass of water, you go to the washroom, you make a coffee, you play with the dog for a few minutes. Whatever it is you do, you make sure that you follow the routine that allows you to have these sprints and rests where you focus, and then you recapture. Because we are not equipped to concentrate for an 8-hour day for 8 solid hours. We can concentrate for finite periods of time. Now, some people longer. The people at Focus at Will set their timers. They say that people shouldn't concentrate for more than an hour. They can go up to, say, 2 hours on their timer, but they think very few people have the mental stamina to be able to concentrate on task and be truly productive for 2 hours. That an hour and less are the time frames. Pomodoro thinks it's 20-minute bursts. But coming up with one of those techniques, I think, is going to serve you really well. And I think it is time, for us to now jump back in to the live part of the webinar. And we are back. Now, I've plugged in a headset just in case that's going to help with the audio, in case we're still having trouble with the video. And Jen's joining us. Jen, you can turn on your camera. See, we got Jen, and Jen's joined us in the room. Wow, that was one of the most active conversations in the discussion room that we've had in one of the webinars. Yeah. And it was awesome. People, it was all over the map. You did not need to make this an object lesson. As we went down rabbit hole after rabbit hole. But lots of great feedback, and nobody laughed. Well, my coworkers here laughed at me a little bit when I talked about the essential oils, but not that much, just a little bit. All right, we've actually started streaming this as well to Facebook Live. So Jen's here, and she's going to be monitoring the Facebook Live group. So we're going to be taking your questions here in just a few moments. So all of the questions that have been posted, we'll be working our way through, and if you have new questions, we're going to deal with them live on air right now. But before we do that, I'm just going to fill you in on what's coming up over the next couple of weeks here on Dottotech. So I'm just going to carefully turn on my screen sharing. There we go.
It's us. We lost him.
So this is going to be our last webinar Wednesday for 2 weeks. Next week, I'm actually in London, England for a family wedding. Cambridge, if we want to be specific. And then the following week, we are going to be at Social Media Marketing World in San Diego, which is just getting in the way. It's just not going to make it easy to do a webinar. So rather than kind of just try and get one through, we're just going to say we're going to take 2 weeks off, and then we're going to return. I haven't yet decided exactly what the content is. I've got a couple of different topics for 2 weeks. But you'll see it in the email. We'll be sending out, you're all on our email list, so you'll be getting emails letting you know about the next webinar Wednesday coming up. So 2 weeks off. It seems like Steve's going to be on vacation, but it's not. It's going to be very stressful doing the family vacation, so don't think I'm going to be ultra rested from that. And don't think that it's going to be all that much easier when I go to San Diego, because anyways, I'm just complaining. But I just want to let you know that I'm not coming back rested from vacation, okay? So I might be a little anxious when we get back.
Steve, can I interrupt real quick?
Yep.
It's not pulling through to the live.
It's not flowing through to the live.
No, it's saying starting soon.
Oh, okay. Well, it says that it's feeding through here from Wirecast, so we're just going to have to let it go.
Okay.
As the Disney song says.
Let it go.
Okay, thank you. Now, this webinar today, which if you've got friends who want to, if you find it valuable, please share it with your friends. Share the links with your friends that we're going to be sending out. The replay is going to be available for the next 48 hours. And the way we do things here at Dottotech is we get tremendous support from our crowdsourced community at Patreon. Many of you on the call right now are our Patreon supporters, and we thank you very much. So what happens with the kind of the business side of Dottotech is we're supported through crowdfunding. Much of this content is supported through crowdfunding. And we use the site Patreon to do that. And now, just like regular crowdfunding setups, there are perks involved in supporting us. It's not just that you feel good about supporting us, but you also get some nice things in return. And one of the things that you get in return for supporting us on Patreon at $10 a month is you get all of the webinar replays of these tutorial webinars that we are doing. And so far we have this is our 8th or 9th one, I think. And so by the end of the year, we'll have 40 to 50 of these kind of tutorial webinars where we cover different topics that our community is telling us they are interested in training on. So that is the biggest kind of benefit to joining us on Patreon. There are other perks though. You also, at $10, you get access to Evernote Made Easy. You get access to these webinar archives, and you also get 50% off on all our premium courses. And our next premium course is going to be just kick-ass. We're going to be doing a course on delivering webinars, the kind of webinars that you're in right now, webinars that are a lot different than a lot of the typical sales webinars that most of the other people are all talking about. So that we are in the midst of putting that together right now, and I'm really excited about what's coming up in that space. Plus, you get 75% off on our other kind of mini courses, these little social system playbooks, these little defined mini courses that we do. So April will drop the link in. It's just patreon.com/Dottotech if you are interested in supporting us. And that support is phenomenal because that support goes directly to supporting our community. You see, we consider Patreon as our community of users, but Dottotech is produced by a community. You have April and Jen on the call with us right now. And I have to tell you that 100% of the money that we raise through Patreon goes to paying our team. So the money goes directly to us creating content and supporting the community. So there's this really circle of life that happens being part of the Patreon community. So we want to let you know we appreciate you. We are here because of you. And if you see value in us, then we encourage you to drop by and take a look at the Patreon offer and see if it's something that you might like to join us in. We as we say, we appreciate
you. We appreciate
big time.
That was what he was finishing saying.
What's that?
You got cut off when you did your screen share, so I finished your sentence for you. We appreciate you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you, April. Good stuff. Is the feed coming through on Facebook yet?
No, we are stuck at the coming soon screen. Someone says this is the longest 2 minutes and 49 seconds of my life.
Okay, well, you know what? Well, my head was going to be out of shot, but April's going to start talking to me, and I'm going to multitask right now.
All right, so we have a poll. One of the things that came up in the chat, yes, one of the things that came up in the chat was how many monitors do you use? And I would love to see the stats on this. So I'm going to post this poll right now and let us know how many monitors you're using, because I think our friend John maybe takes the cake.
Yes, John, we need to know what John does for work, because 8 screens is the most I've ever heard. Ever.
It is definitely the most I've ever heard.
That's the most I've ever heard of either. What does he do? What did he tell us what he does?
No, John, you have to let us know. Please, please.
I hope John's still on the call, because 8 monitors is like you're an aircraft, you're a flight controller, for municipal airport.
Yeah,
international airport. Okay.
Bettina, not Windows, actually, how many screens you're using? Screens and monitors.
Physical screens. So I used to have 3. Okay, we got 40% with one. And a lot of people will have their notebook and a second monitor. And I'm kind of on the fence there, where you're not using the notebook monitor as much, just because of the extra real estate of the single monitor. Now, there was a lot of questions while we're finishing off this poll. There was a lot of questions about the software that we use for multiple monitors, multiple desktops. It's built into both Windows and the Mac OS. And a couple of people were a little bit confused about how to do it. In the Mac world, just take a look, just do a search on multiple desktops in your operating system, and there'll be a tutorial that will walk you through how to do it. The Apple uses a thing called Expose to allow you to move things to different corners and stuff, and I think it's all part of that system. But I've got it set up so that I swipe my fingers to the right and the left, and it just jumps from one window to another. It works phenomenally well.
So John is an entrepreneur at heart. He has 3 businesses. So this is why he has so many monitors: iTech, real estate, and commercial lending. I don't even know how you would not be distracted. That's a lot.
Well, maybe, yeah, that's a lot. So we see here, so 52, so over 50% of our community here has more than one monitor. And I got to tell you, for me, when I went down to one monitor, my productivity increased dramatically with that at the moment. And it is counterintuitive. I understand that you think because you've got less access to information that you'll be less productive. You're not. You're more, because you're more focused on tasks. So it's worth trying. I mean, all you have to do is turn it off for a little while. It's not like you have to get rid of it, but just turn it off and see how it goes. There is a little bit of a detox that goes on with all of this. Just for those of you who have your phone beside you at night when you go to bed.
Oh, I'm horrible.
Charge your phone in another room for a week. Just do it and see. You'll be anxious the first night. It will actually create a little bit of anxiety, but you might end up being able to sleep better. What's that?
phone. I've got my laptop, my screen, the iPad's over there somewhere.
So, you're too distracted.
Yes.
Yeah,
No. What'd you say? Oh, there you go. No. Squirrel.
Okay, so let's get to questions. So we're in good shape. So let's finish off the poll and let's hop into questions.
Steve, we're not working for Facebook Live today. It is just
Facebook doesn't like me. It says it's feeding here. Oh, you know what?
Oh,
There
forgot
seems to
push the
be
button.
there was an issue with the actual feed.
Oh,
Oh, it's the actual webinar feed. It's not the feed from the. Okay, ask me the question and I'll fix this while we're on the fly.
now it's
Okay.
saying sit tight.
I have the keys.
All right. So Don is asking, what do you do when? What do you do? Okay, hold on one second. What do you do when you need to go to a site that's distracting? For example, Facebook. Facebook Live could be distracting.
And at that point there, it's your own personal discipline. The fact is, if you have to go to Facebook to say monitor your Facebook ads, and you don't, and then you say, oh well, the reason that I'm now looking at everybody's newsfeed and lost for half an hour is because I had to go to Facebook to monitor the ads. That's where you really have to take control of your own. You take a responsibility yourself and say, no, I'm going to go in, set up the ads, monitor the ads, and then I'm going to go back to work, and I'm not going to just peruse stupid cat videos.
Right. Somebody is saying that Focus at Will is a little bit too expensive.
Yes.
They're a student. Do you have an alternative?
There were quite a few posted in the chat of YouTube channels and other things. Now, people do say that they have playlists that work for them and all those sorts of other things, and it might well work for you. The science or some of the stuff that Will Henshaw told me about, as far as the science behind Focus at Will, is you look for music that does not mimic the human voice or does not have lyrics or the human voice or any instrument that sounds like the human voice, because the bottom line is our hearing is a defensive mechanism. If we go back into antiquity, is we couldn't see what's in front, so we can see danger, but we can't see what's behind. So we use our ears in a part of our hippocampus in the brain. I don't know.
That's the technical term.
Is the technical term, but it's constantly monitoring what's behind you for changes and for danger. And it's a survival mechanism. So it's deep in us, in the human voice, a warning. Or, you can tell when you hear your kids, you can tell just by the timbre of your kids when they're shouting and they're laughing versus when they're shouting and they're scared. Even though it sounds on one level the same, our reaction, our immediate physical reaction is completely different. And so if we're monitoring and hearing human voice, then we are on alert. We're listening and we're constantly measuring whether or not there's danger he says there's three things: danger, food, or sex. So we're monitoring one of those three things. You're listening for that. So consequently, if it's got lyrics or if it's a cello, saxophone, any instrument that is in the same range as the human voice, we are on more of an alert, and it just changes how much you concentrate. The biggest thing for me is the headphones. That just creates this sucking in, and it's hard to describe, but it really creates this additional focus. So finding a playlist that works that way. Several people mentioned a couple of other products as well as a couple of YouTube playlists that might help. You said your son, that ADHD music, April,
yes,
that works. That's a small percentage of the people. I just watched that movie the other day, The Big Short, and one of the characters in it is definitely in that space, and he constantly had that music running as he was doing all of his research and work, and it drove me crazy in the movie. It would drive me crazy to have that playing as I was trying to work. But
we got my son heavy headsets for that music, so it has like bounce, so he's bouncing. Yes,
good stuff.
Our friend Mike is asking, what was the name of the single screen software you mentioned?
That's what we just talked about. It's built into your operating system.
Okay.
Now, there is another question that's asking about the color correction software, and that's Flux, F.LUX, that corrects the color of your screen and makes it more restful for your eyes.
Let's see. Do you find that working on screens in a darker room is easier on your eyes?
No. I actually quite often, I find it that I have less eye fatigue personally when I've got my broadcast lights on, my little lights here that balance it out. But that's personal. I don't have any scientific knowledge.
I've noticed that too. I have the Diva ring light.
Yes.
And actually, when I have that on, I do notice that it actually increases my energy, it feels like. And then also the fatigue is less.
Well, the Diva light is also daylight. It's also 5,500 Kelvin, so it's the same color as the natural sunlight, which a lot of scientific research talks about SAD, the season-affected disorder from lack of sunlight, and replacing sunlight with getting that natural color sunlight is good for what keeps us going.
Mm-hmm. All right. Can you speak of the best? Can you speak of the best way to work with VAs to manage distraction? For example, all the VA meetings, distracting, and getting best help to combat it. So I'm assuming she's saying VAs, virtual assistants, to manage distraction. Constantly
asking you questions. That comes down to process, and so you can turning off your notification, setting proper boundaries. In a lot of cases, if you've got people doing work for you, one of the reasons that you give them access to you is you want to keep them as productive as possible. So it really comes down to your own system and putting systems in place. And if you find that you're constantly being distracted by the same things over and over again, figuring out exactly what those things are, and then putting a system in place so that they don't have to ask you questions. I know we use a combination of tools here at Dottotech. Slack we use, which gives instant communication, but it is a very distracting tool because it pops on the screen, it lets me know, and it tells me that somebody on my team who I'm paying has a question. So it behooves me to answer that question because it costs me money.
And you still get them in snooze mode, don't you?
Yeah, I still do because I want to know what's going on.
Right.
But that is a choice that I make. I could turn it off. I could turn off that notification. Far less critical are the conversations that we have when we are in Asana, which is all project-based stuff, and that I don't feel the same sense of immediacy for. People who need an answer quickly from me typically ask me in Slack. The longer term conversations happen in Asana. So it's coming up with your own system that will eliminate. We can't get rid of distraction. Interruption and distraction, the normal flow of work and distraction are two different things. It's not distracting if April says to me and she contacts me and says, Infusionsoft just deleted all of our email addresses. I want to know about that. That might seem distracting. That's right. But you want to know those things. So understanding what is actually interrupting your flow and not is kind of a measurement that we have to make.
All right. So is Facebook Live working now? Do we have it working?
It is. The video is frozen, but there's audio.
Because people are looking for the Facebook Live link.
Yeah, I'm going to go and refresh the. It's working fine here, but it's frozen in Wirecast. Isn't that interesting? But the audio is still being through, right?
Oh, now we're good.
All right, Jen, would you mind putting the link in the chat?
Absolutely.
Please.
Let me grab it real quick.
Just come to the Dottotech Facebook page.
Yeah, let me give you.
And like it if you haven't liked it while you're at it.
Yeah.
All right. Oh, okay.
All right.
Next question.
So, any specific recommendations for ADD people?
No. Well, that music.
I can offer something. So one of the things that I found, because I'm a little ADD, is I set reminders on my computer to remind me to do specific things like take a break, check your tabs. And that helps me, believe it or not, throughout the day. Like get up and take a walk, get out of the house, go for a walk with the dogs, quick walk, just because I get distracted in my own work and then I forget to do things. So I find that helps.
For that, the Pomodoro technique is a wonderful thing. Now, the name is a stupid name, and it comes from the word tomato. Well, it's because the people that sold the original, it's a tomato timer, it's like a cooking timer that was set for 20-minute increments. And what that does is it allows, and it's the concept of sprints and rests, interval training, as it were, that we can hyper focus. We can stay, especially if we only have 20 minutes that we have to work, you can stay focused for 20 minutes. And if an email comes in, or even if your phone pings, or if the light starts blinking, you're only 20 minutes. You can compartmentalize that and not get off task. Stay on task, and then you've got your 5 or 10 minute break or whatever your interval set is. And then if you actually assign tasks to those segments, you say, look, I'm going to do 20 minutes of email and get as much email done as in 20 minutes as I can, and then I'm just going to let it go till the next cycle, which is going to be maybe in 4 hours that I go back to my email. you can get an awful lot of work done, especially things like writing blog posts, creating graphics, cleaning up a database, those sorts of things using that technique. Now, you don't have to see. A lot of people think once they enter one of these programs that they have to go, oh, I'm going to go on the Pomodoro technique. So now my entire 8-hour day has to be divided into these 20-minute segments. You don't have to do that. You can approach your own personal productivity and dealing with distractions in much more digestible chunks. You can say from 9 to 11 in the morning is my focus time. I'm going to use the Pomodoro technique for those 2 hours. And the rest of the day, I can do my normal distracted thing, and I can just kind of keep. But this is focus time when we're going to achieve goals, and setting some goals into that time is a great way of doing things. For me, I do that. I look at doing my videos in the morning. I've got a period of time that I produce, and I concentrate all of my energy and focus on that. The rest of the day, I'm not quite as productive, but that's okay because I'm multitasking a little bit more. But by setting a not just definable, kind of a compartmentalized amount of time that I focus and concentrate, but something that I know I'm not going to disappoint myself in. Because one of the worst things that you end up doing is you say, I'm committed to doing this, then you don't do it, and then you end up feeling like you failed somehow. And that's not what this is about. It's a moving target. So overcoming that, that feeling of failure means that you don't try next time, but you didn't fail. You just didn't get done what you wanted to get done in that period of time. Tomorrow is a new day.
Tomorrow is a new day.
I'm all new age today. It's the oils. I'm telling you, it's the oils.
What kind of oils are those, Steve? Sorry, I'm in Washington.
All right. So the question is, doesn't having several desktops consume too many resources on your computer?
No, I don't think it's an issue today. Computers are pretty powerful today. I mean, having multiple tabs open. I mean, people that were on the call that said they have like 35 tabs open in Chrome, that's using up a lot of resources. That's slowing your Chrome down. Having multiple desktops, I don't think it's all that bad. Michael, what oils am I smelling? Right now, I think it's called Raphael right now. Raphael.
All right. Does Flux affect recorded screens? Do you know?
No. As you're recording, the question there is, if you're doing screencasting and you're using Flux to change the color of your screen, is it going to affect the captured screen? No, it's not. But Ninja technique, when we're recording videos for Dottotech, if I've got a white screen, it's pushing blue light on my face, which is affecting my color balance. Using Flux and changing the color of my screen to 5500K takes the blue out and makes it easier for me to do color correction. That's why it looks so beautiful.
How do you deal with the most evil distraction on the internet? Funny cat videos.
I watch them. I use them.
He doesn't deal.
All right, let's see.
Why would I deal? It brings a little pleasure into my life.
John, it's kombucha. It's not
bourbon.
John asked what I was drinking in the bottle. He said it looked like a bottle of bourbon. I said, well,
like
I'll get through the webinar somehow.
Our friend Peter is asking about actually your earbuds when you do webinars, except today, because mostly you don't use them. Most people seem to use headphones or earbuds. How is it that you avoid feedback normally? Any particular settings you use? Keep the other audio low?
No. Yes, I normally don't need them, and I probably didn't need them today. I'm not too sure what it was that was causing the issue. No, I've got a pro audio setup here, which means that I have a mixing board that has something called a gated audio setting, which actually looks for the fullback, looks for the audio coming in, and cancels out the audio that's coming from the speakers. It's a little more advanced than the average person has. You need a mixer to do that.
All right, just to let you know, we're at the top of the hour.
Yes. So thank you so much for that. So anybody who has to leave now, thank you so much. You can expect an email from us within a couple of hours, which will have all of the resources from today's webinar, as well as the replay link, which is available for 48 hours. Then you'll receive us. We do 2 follow-up emails on that, so that those will be coming into your inbox over the next couple of days. Next week, no webinar Wednesday. The following week, no webinar Wednesday. We're still going to be sending out our emails. We're still producing videos. The Dottotech channel will still be having tons of videos coming out. Those of you who are new supporters on Patreon, we thank you so much. I see Catherine and Frank have joined in.
Yay.
And Larry, thank you all so much for our new Patreon supporters. We appreciate. We're sending you a big virtual hug right now. Thank you very much. And for the rest of you that are leaving, until next time, have fun storming the castle. And we will stay here now, and we will answer. Bye, Liz. That's Liz on Dottotech, Team Dottotech. I'm going to see Liz on Monday, 9 a.m. London time, which is like.
I want to go.
You can't come.
You'll have to. Well,
Family
you could
wedding.
live stream us in.
Trust me, you're not sure you want to be there. Family wedding.
Oh, we do. I definitely.
Okay.
All right, let's
Good.
see. Bill was asking how you're streaming to Facebook from the webinar. It's a function of Webinar Jam or what else?
How we're streaming to Facebook, it's kind of unsuccessfully right now.
Right.
It's not a function of Webinar Jam, although it's a feature that's rumored to be coming to Webinar Jam. What we're doing right now is I've got a very fast internet connection here, although it doesn't always seem that way. So we're feeding the webinar through Webinar Jam. I am receiving the webinar on my notebook beside me. Actually, I'll just show you my desk here. Let's just show it to you here. You see right there? I am feeding the video through to this computer right here, this notebook computer, which is running Wirecast. Okay? So Wirecast
frozen.
is capturing the feed. Yeah, it just froze it. You just froze it. Way to go. Wirecast is capturing the feed. Is just basically is the same as you watching it right now, and then it's capturing it. Then it's supposed to be sending that feed straight through, and then Wirecast allows me to capture the feed and to broadcast from my notebook or from whatever computer's on Wirecast to Facebook Live. So that's how we're feeding through Facebook Live. Super successful. We've got to troubleshoot a little bit today. The other notebook you saw there is I'm actually recording the webinar on a separate computer in ScreenFlow so that we can create the replay video, which has the chat embedded for all time.
All right, so we're actually getting down here to the bottom. Nope, we already answered that one.
I like who is it that
said put your bottle in a bag.
Yeah. Have a sense of decency to put a bottle of the brown paper bag over your bottle of booze, Jen.
Next week, I'm coming with a brown paper bag. It's kombucha.
I don't even know what kombucha is.
I don't know what it is either. Is
It's
it an
a-
energy drink?
Sounds fermented, though.
It's
It
a
does.
fermented tea.
So it's alcoholic.
No, there's no alcohol. Filtered water, organic black tea, organic cane sugar, ginger, turmeric, yerba mate, and live probiotics for the gut.
Good.
So Andre was asking, have you ever tried Coffifity? COFFTVITY.com.
No, that's another streaming audio service that kind of puts the ambient sound of a coffee shop in the background, which a lot of people find it facilitates their concentration. Yeah, I haven't tried it, but that's cool. I do find that if I'm a little bit blocked, that going to a coffee shop and sitting down and just having that little bit of business going around you makes it far easier to be productive. I get a lot of work done when I'm on the road, just jumping into coffee shops. Thank God for Starbucks.
All right. And I think that we covered all of them. I just wanted to give you your feedback on using the multiple screens. I have 3 big screens, but I actually went down to 1 recently, and it makes a huge difference in productivity. So that's a great tip. That it was hard at first and like letting go, because everybody in my office has like 4 screens, 3 to 4 screens. It's crazy.
And they look at you like you're not. How can you possibly be doing this much work?
Yeah.
Well, I pretend.
They know. Folks, thank you so very much for spending this time with us today. I am looking forward to seeing you again all in the end of the month. Remember, 2 weeks off. Those of you who have joined us on Patreon, once again, our thanks to you. Those of you who are thinking about joining us on Patreon, I'll encourage you to do that. That would be awesome if you join up with us. Check out the webinar replay. Looking forward to your feedback. I hope that you found today's video to be incredibly valuable. So on behalf of the entire Dottotech team, let's let Jen do our sign off today.
She's going to get it right too.
I know. I'm going to have fun storming the castle.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, friends.